What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to, what is this again? Foul Mouth Teachers Podcast. I forgot for a second. This is episode 2. We actually thought this was good enough to do it again. We're at Barrett's place, actually, in New Braunfels, which I fucking love coming to because I get to drive right by Buc-ee's. And, yeah, that's one of our favorite spots.
I really thought that Buc-ee's would lose its luster living right by it, but it absolutely does not. I still go all the time.
Gas prices alone, like, I would be hooked on that.
I've got one little pump. Like, I'm in commercial construction. I have to leave here, usually between 5 and 5:30 in the morning. And usually on my way home, I don't want to get gas. So I've got this one pump that, like, I can pull in. It's right towards, like, the exit to the highway. I can fly in there, grab gas, get on the road in, like, no time. It's the best little morning stop ever.
Plus, you get all the beaver nuggets you can handle.
I
would get in trouble with that. I'd put on some weight.
Oh, my problem is their brisket tacos. Not only are they probably not the best breakfast 3 times a week, but they're also like $6 a piece or something. It's like
The big ones they're talking like $18 or whatever for a big ass sandwich or something. I don't know. So they took my favorite thing off. They had it was they got like a Texas cheesesteak or something. It was this like Philly cheesesteak that was loaded with like jalapenos and sour cream and all. It was like so good. Like so our Friday night football games, we would rate on how good this away game was based on whether we passed by a Buc-ee's or not. Mm-hmm. And so we could go, spend $100 round trip on fuel and all that, and another $100 at Buc-ee's inside.
I mean, you can do $100 of damage in Buc-ee's without even. I mean, like you're on a road trip and you go to a gas station. You get a soda, a Red Bull, a water, whatever it is. Some candy, maybe some chips or something, and
a hat, a fucking set of dishes.
Yeah, you see the goofy hat that whoever you're going to go visit would think it's funny. You grab that too. Like, all right, you're out $40.
Yeah, and then you buy your mom a candle. You go get a new cutting board for your kitchen. You get a fucking flag to hang off the front of your house, and
it never stops at Buc-ee's.
Yeah, and lawn furniture.
Yeah, and a deer feeder.
Yeah. Oh yeah, a deer feeder. If they had a fishing section, I would be fucked.
Yeah, we're already fucked. It's like I'm trying to decide if accidental money spent happens more at Costco or Buc-ee's. That's a pretty good. Maybe Costco because there's more stuff there, but
especially if they're giving out those fucking food samples.
Yeah. Oh, dude, don't go to Costco high.
So, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm fat as fuck. Like, I could drop a bill at fucking Circle K if I really needed to.
Yeah.
Just on, like, coffee and Rice Krispie treats.
And if it's 81, you round it up. Get those $19 worth of scratchers, dude. You're going to win on at least a few.
That's the only thing I don't like. I've never been a lotto guy.
I used to be. I'll do it every now and then. It's fun. It's funny when I was dating somebody and she liked doing the scratchers that were the crossword puzzle things.
Oh yeah, that's a lot of work.
I used to always hate it because it was so much fucking work. And then one day, like we were watching TV or something, and I was like, let me do one. And she's like, I thought you don't like these. And I was like, come on, please. She gave me one, and I'm like, this is fucking relaxing.
And if you've got the games and all that, like I've seen the bingo and all that, I guess it stretches your dollar because you're not like fuck after 10 seconds you're like, oh, crossword, and then like after 5 minutes then you're like, fuck, I lost again.
And like full disclosure, there was a time where I was one of the degenerates that didn't even scratch the fucking ticket. I just scratched the barcode. That's some next level degenerate bullshit right there.
When I was coaching in Granger, one of my buddies, Eric Johnson, who I'd fucking love to have on here, he would probably get everybody fired from any possible job if we talk. Which looking forward to it. This man was like, oh yeah, I won $1,000 on a scratcher. Like, fuck, how much did you lose last week? We're not going to talk about that right now. I was like, so what was it? He was like, oh, they've got these $100 tickets. Fuck it, you threw $100 on a scratch off. How many of them did you get? 7? You won $300. You didn't win $1,000. You won $300. But he's a science teacher, not a math teacher, so I get it. Fucking, those are the nerds of the school.
Of course they are, man.
Love you, Hendrickson, Scally, Miss V, crazy ass Coach Munoz. She's another one that I work. She's a science teacher. She's one of those fucking, yeah, she's cool as shit.
Man,
She's an instigator. Do it. Just do it.
the funny thing, one of the things that I've enjoyed in my adult life is getting to know people who are actually teachers. Because, like, you know, as kids, a lot of times you don't think of teachers as normal human beings.
Yeah.
That talk shit, that make fun of make fun of people. Like I would have loved to hear all the shit that our teachers talked about us back in the day. Because God, we gave them some good material. I guarantee it. And like there was some very special. So I went to a small Baptist school. I graduated with like 42, 48 kids. Everybody knew each other. Everybody was up in each other's business. And like there were some very, very cool and distinct personalities in this group. And we all had to get along. There was no like there was like small cliques and stuff, but there was nobody in your grade that there wasn't a time that you had to you didn't have to mix,
Yeah.
And so like I'm sure that
y'all are all in the English 3 class, or you're all in the English 1. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure that there was some pretty good shit talking by the teachers that taught us about how we were, man, because it was a cool group, and when we were fun. There were some characters, and I'd love to hear some honest opinions of me as an adult from my
that's a challenge. We need to get some of our former teachers on here. I reached out to one. He was my biology teacher in high school. He was like, I appreciate the offer, but no thanks.
Oh, that'd be great. I still keep up with a few. You know what? So there is a woman named Suzanne Kelly, and she had my older brother. My older brother was a peach. No, he was not. She told me on the first day I was in her class, she was like, "Oh, you're Corby's brother, huh?" I'm like, "Yeah." And just gave me that look like, I'm not going through this shit again. But I screwed. She had to get on to me plenty, but she was always respectful and always cool. And she like when she got into me, it was because I fucked up. Yeah. And so like I still have a lot of respect for this woman, and I've actually seen her on a couple of like Facebook posts lately. So I might reach out to her because I'm sure she has some fun things to say about me.
Some of my favorite ones, I don't know, like Mr. Brown. I absolutely love that guy. He passed away. And I'll just say it now because everybody knows. Like he was that like hippie teacher, like a hippie holdover kind of teacher. Like in the classroom, he listened to some Led Zeppelin and Stray Cats, like a little bit of everything. Played in a band and smelled a little skunky every once in a while. Yeah, just cool all around guy. Good Lord, there's some Mr. White Eagle's one. I keep up with him on Facebook. Great guy. Yeah. Pretty political. I mean, he's retired now, so like he
can afford to be.
Yeah. His opinion's super over the top, and I absolutely love it. I mean, I don't agree 100% with him, but it's kind of cool just to see because, and that's one thing. Like you said, as teachers, our teachers, we always thought they were boring. Like, you just come to school and work, then you go home and you grade papers,
and go to bed,
and then you go to bed.
Yeah. Teachers get down, dude.
Oh yeah. I could show you some of our texts.
When I was in college,
we don't mention students' names in our group texts.
Yeah. When I was in college, I dated this chick.
We mention students' names in our group text.
When I was in college, I was dating a girl who her roommate was a second grade teacher, and we didn't spend much time at their house. They had a little 2-bedroom house in East Austin, and we didn't spend much time at her house. I would see her roommate in and out, but usually coming and going from work. And I just always saw her. She had her hair up with her glasses on and everything, looked like a freaking second grade teacher. And then I moved closer, and then we ended up staying I moved in a shithole place. It was awful. We ended up staying at her house more, and I got to this chick fucking partied hard, and I was like, damn, I don't want to use her name just in case. But I'm like,
Susie?
So I was like, Susie, dude, did you see her like wiping her nose all night last night when she got home? And then like going back into the bathroom like 3 times in an hour. And Like, what the, like, did she? She's like, yeah, she just doesn't like putting it out there. I was like, she's putting it out there.
Yeah.
But no, like teachers get down with the best of them, I guess.
I remember, so I didn't grow up with a private school education. Like I had my parents split up, so you know, we were low income. We lived in Section 8 apartments and stuff like that. And so there were times, even growing up, my dad played in a band. So like from the time I was 6 until I don't remember, because I've been hitting the head a lot, but like I remember like sitting in a smoky bar on the side of a stage, you know, on Friday and Saturday night, you know, on the band stuff. But with my mom, you know, they hung out, they played pool in bars, things like that. There was a bar at the end of our street, so there were sometimes I got off the school bus at, you know, the little VFW hall.
Yeah.
And I can remember the first time ever. I didn't even have this teacher, but I knew who he was. He was at my school. Oh my God! Sorry. Holy shit! That's the smartest thing you're going to hear on this podcast.
I just woke up my dog.
I can remember the first time walking into that VFW hall and seeing Mr. So I'm not going to mention his name, but he's probably dead. He was old as shit back then.
He's too old.
But I remember seeing Mr. Smith sitting at the bar, like hammering beers. And I remember watching Mr. Smith staggering his ass out of the bar, getting it. He drove, God, it was before they were Crown Victorias, the Ford LTD.
Yeah,
the
LTD.
Big ass box car. He had this big Ford LTD, and I remember him swaying his big ol' ass out there, drunker than Cooter Brown, and leaving. And I was like, do fucking teachers really do this stuff?
Yeah,
but I was like, yeah, he's the one. Like, he is the one. He's not the one. I promise you, he's not the one. He was never the one. It was the all. The longer I teach, the more I understand why teachers drink sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Mr. Rhodes drinks because you cry.
Yeah. Again, and I'll say this as long as we do this podcast. God bless you guys, because I couldn't handle it, man. I knew that, like, quick abridged version of my background. I went almost all the way through the School of Education at Concordia and quit after I did my student observation because I knew I could not handle the kids. And you know,
for all right though, like, you completed an education program other than that, checking that last box, going through student teaching and all that. Like,
so I mean, like, and you know, we were going to talk about light discipline a little bit here, and I'll tell you the kind of crowning incident that made me realize, all right, I can't do this. I was doing my student observation. I was observing somebody who was just sweet girl, like 24, 25 years old, real, you know, small in stature, kind of mousy voice, and like the way our schedules worked out, I always saw our honors classes, and the kids were freaking perfect. They were awesome. They were there to learn.
She's like right out of student teaching in the classroom.
And so I'm taking down notes. I'm seeing, like, oh, how does she get students, you know, who aren't getting involved? How does she get them involved? You know, like trying to correlate everything to what I'm learning in the classroom, whatnot.
A perfect world.
Yeah. And it's so easy. And I enjoyed it. And then one day my schedule got twisted around a little bit. I needed to get some hours in, and I called her and I was like, hey, do you have any classes this afternoon? Yeah, come in. Well, it wasn't her honors class. It was her regular
on level.
On level. Okay, is that what they're saying these days?
Yeah.
I would hate to say regular.
Or I mean, and really, you have honors, you have on level, and then you have inclusion, where a lot of time it's like your kids with like sped indicators that are mixed in with an on level class.
Yeah. So, anyways, she is usually the kids are in their seats ready to learn when the second bell rings. Not the case this time. I'm in there. I can tell it's like a minute before the bell rings, and there's like two kids sitting down there yelling and screaming. And, you know, as the bell rings, 30 kids shuffle in this classroom. I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And I watch her kind of like sheepishly walk up to the front desk of the classroom, like, all right, guys, we're already behind. You know, we got to get going. And I'm like, what the fuck is this chick doing? Like, immediately I was like, oh no, this is going to be bad. And, you know, she's trying to get them on task, and and they won't do it, and she's trying to just teach over them talking and getting no respect whatsoever. And we're 5-10 minutes into this, and I'm like, the hair on my skin is just standing on it. I'm like, I can't take this. And finally some kid said something that was not just out of line, it was disrespectful. And I was like, all right. And I took something, I think I slammed my fist on the desk or a book or something, and I was like, everybody's going to shut their mouth, and everybody's going to sit down. They're going to talk when you speak when spoken to. If you have something to say, you raise your hand. If you don't, then shut your mouth. And I got into him for about a solid 15-20 seconds. I was like, does everybody understand? I got a bunch of big eyes and nodding heads. I was like, all right, cool. I was like, Miss whatever, go ahead. And the rest of the class, they were angels. Like they got all the way through the class. They shuffled out, and she was like, you've got to teach me how to do that. I'm like, you just got to tell them who's in control. Yeah. You got to take control. I don't have anything over those kids. But I can make them think that I do.
Yeah.
And so, we kind of had a good laugh, and she's like, "Oh, I learned something from you today." No. I even talked to her a couple days later, and she was like, they've been better, and I told them that I was gonna be the same way you were, and okay, whatever. And then like a week later, I'm in class at Concordia, and the dean walks in and was like, "Hey Barrett, are you going to your to the high school here in a little bit?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "I gotta go with you. We gotta pop in on the assistant principal over there." I'm like, "What?"
Dr. Brown, right?
I have no idea, dude.
Been a minute.
Like, we heard you accosted some children. Yeah, I was like, accosted? Y'all haven't seen shit.
Yeah.
Like that, you haven't seen shit. And
anyways, they were like, a single one of them.
They were like, you're here to observe, and our teachers can take care of their own classrooms and this and that. I was like, all right. And I had a bunch of personal stuff going on that semester. I like some kind of crazy family shit going on, and it was at that point I was like, you know what? And I'm not sure I want to do this. In fact, I'm quite sure I don't. And done. And like this whole there time, like, I know you got to approach every child differently, and you got to adjust your approach every child differently. Just like I said. But there's sometimes when you got to go nuclear, and don't cross any lines. Don't hit a kid. Don't get in a kid's face. Don't, but let them know who's boss.
Yeah.
And according to all the stories I'm hearing from you, you can't freaking do it these days.
So, and I'll tell you, I had a similar situation in my own classroom. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not going to tell the school I was at. I'm not going to tell what year, but I had a group, and this was beginning of the day. Group of kids who I'm like, guys, it's time to get started on your warm up. Hey, I need, and I'm like, I'm not gonna sit up here and be like, hey guys, please do your work, like the teacher you're talking about who hasn't just found her voice yet.
Yeah.
And so I was like, guys, slam my hand on the table, I get everybody's attention, and there's one just keeps going, and so I was like, hey, get started on your work. Man, I just plugged in my computer. I'm waiting on it to come on. Okay, that doesn't mean you get to talk and distract other people. And he just keeps going and keeps going. And I asked him over and over, I need you to be quiet. I need you to be quiet. Quit distracting people at your table. And then finally I said, shut your mouth, or I'm going to walk you to the principal's office myself.
Yeah.
And he got quiet. Like, he stopped, sat down, opened up his computer, blah, blah, blah. About an hour later, principal comes to my room. And it was like, hey, so Junior's mom... he called her, and I was like, why does he have his fucking phone? Like, they're not supposed to be calling her. Why is mom answering in the middle of the day on top of that? Like, and so she's upset that you told him to shut up in class. And I was like, so here's the deal. Like, I asked nicely 10 times, and I didn't say shut up. That's actually a rule in my class. You're not allowed to say shut up. I don't say shut up, but I did say shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. Close your mouth. Shut your mouth. It's all the same. But the fact is, 10 times at least, I was like, stop talking. And so she's like, oh, well, mom wants you to talk to her. I call mom, talk to mom, and I'm like, hey, so this is what happened. Junior's being disrespectful. He was being combative. And then, I told, close it, or I said, shut your mouth, or I'm going to take you to the office. Like there was hey, if you do this, what you're supposed to do, We're done. There's no more trouble. And her response was, so you were both in the wrong.
Yeah, of course.
Like, fuck me. And so here's what I did find out. Because I was like, this kid's kind of a titty baby. So every time he came in, I was and wouldn't stop talking. I was like, hey, buddy, I'm gonna need you to stop talking, all right, bud? And he hates "hey, buddy" a lot more than he hates "shut your mouth." So I got the fucking silent treatment for the rest of the year from him. And
perfect. That was the game we're
great.
playing.
Yeah, win-win. Like I mean, I don't want you to be dead silent in class. I want you to participate when it's time to talk. But I mean, I don't know. I don't like shut up. I think shut up's kind of, a little off, especially for elementary, middle school. I don't know, maybe some high school sports here and there, but there's nothing wrong with shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. That means close your mouth. Stop talking.
I couldn't deal with it, man.
And then just the fact that I didn't get backup from mom I think that's what really pissed me off the most.
I'd love to better understand the dynamics that has brought parenting to my kid's never wrong. I mean, I don't understand the psychology no matter what bar we didn't meet, whatever standard we didn't meet, like, kid's never wrong. Like how I am 100% shaped by my failures. Like, yeah. Like I am 100% shaped by my failures. I don't learn when everything's going right. And like, what life have these parents been living where that sort of mentality has been productive for anybody or anything in their life? It blows my mind.
Well, it's experience. Like if you pretend like it doesn't exist, you missed out on.
But experience. You know what it is? It's fucking lazy, and it's deflection. It's like, you know what? I've got my ass kicked at work all week. I've got my ass kicked paying bills all fucking week. I don't have money for shit. Like the economy's shit. I can't get ahead. I can't afford a house. Interest rates are too high. Last thing I need is to be told that I'm fucking up as a parent. You know? And like I understand that mentality. That sucks. But I mean, like, I think that's part of the deal. Like, times are shitty right now.
Yeah.
People have been trained to live beyond their means, and it's creating an economic disaster, an impending economic disaster. And companies have figured out that they can capitalize off of, they figured out ways, legal and illegal, to capitalize off of this mentality that you can afford anything, and so they're going to, not only are we as individuals losing money out the ass, big companies are taking it in, and we've got a fucking impending economic disaster.
Yeah.
It's going to be 2008 all over again, times fucking 20 if we don't watch our shit.
No accountability for.
Wow, that fucking went from one place to another real quick.
It's all right. So and it's kind of, we've gone from, you had the haves and have-nots. Now you have the haves and I deserve. And so I use this in my classroom and with my kids. Deserve is a made-up Disney word. Like, nobody deserves shit. Like, everything is earned. But what if someone killed someone? They deserve to die. No, they earned their punishment. Like, you earn everything you get. We don't do deserve. We don't use fair, because fair is a fucking Hallmark card word too. Life isn't fair. Like, I mean, like with my own kids, my daughter, there's things that she doesn't get to do that my boys get to do, like date at 15. Because people aren't out there taking advantage of 15-year-old boys like they are 15-year-old girls. Just little things like that. But on the flip side, my daughter being the youngest, my oldest, for his graduation, he got, cool party. Lots of people came over. We did the big bounce house. Bought him some beers, stuff like that. My younger son, we're looking like a cruise or, trip somewhere. But even that's cheap. Like, his cruise is now $500 for, a person for a 3 or 4 day cruise. My daughter, she's talking about, for my graduation, I'd like to go like Italy or Spain or blah, blah, blah. And so Jordan, her brother, he's like, Amber, that's like a couple $1,000s. She's like, yeah, but y'all are going to be out of the house and mom and dad are going to have more money. I was like, and that is why the word fair is made up. You finally get it. Like, it's right. She's the one that may, get a car out of us, where the boys had to work to get there. Like,
you know what? Like, my parents go way far out of their way to try and be fair and equal to all of their children. And
you know how painful that is, though. Like, when you're in a hard spot.
Yeah.
And I had to, especially as a single parent for a long time.
Well, it's hard for them because they're very fortunate. Like, they don't hurt for cash.
Yeah.
And trying to keep things fair and not do more for one than the other is like, it's a big priority for them. I've told them over and over again, I don't give a shit what you do for my brothers and sisters. You know, like
as long as I get more than them.
I don't care. Like I love money just as much as the next person, but like I don't want anybody else's.
No,
you know,
and that's and I mean they may not hurt for money, but everybody hurts for time.
Yeah,
like the time you spend on things, and so like with my kids, their birthdays are April. Amber actually turns 14. God, I'm a bad dad. She turns 15 tomorrow.
You dick.
She turns 15 tomorrow. Thomas has a June birthday. Jordan, poor fucker, his birthday is in December. His birthday competes with Christmas money, and that's where you like when you talk fair.
Yeah.
When Thomas's birthday is in the summertime, and like we've got time. Like I'm out of school, you know, and all that. He would get the good time.
Yeah.
You know, he gets the pool parties. Amber, even in April, you know, we're going to do an outside thing. We're going to do this. Jordan, it's fucking 30 and raining. And we just spent a shit ton of money on Christmas. You want to go to McDonald's?
Yeah. So I'm November 24th.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm always right. A lot of times I'm right on fucking Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
In my entire life, my birthdays sucked.
Yeah.
like nobody's in town or we're not in town. I'm with my cousins and like I love my cousins now, but when I'm a little kid, that's not who I wanted to spend my fucking birthday with. And like they probably didn't really give a shit to have a birthday with me. Whatever.
We're here for deviled eggs, not your birthday party.
Yeah, no shit. And like even as an adult, it sucks because like my parents live on the Texas Gulf Coast now. I've got to drive 5.5 hours to see them.
Yeah.
And they're getting older. My dad turned 79 this week. You know, like they're 79, 73. So like I only have so much time to spend with them, and getting down there is, you know, it's got to be a priority now.
Yeah.
So
that's time sucks.
Yeah, time sucks. But you know I like what you said. You know, time has value. You know, the money not so much.
Well, and that's I firmly believe. I mean, money is make believe. Like money is the biggest religion out there. It's fake. Yeah. You're trading your time for money to hope that later on you have more time.
Yeah,
and that's all it comes down to. I want to get back to. I wrote some stuff down here because I can't remember shit. Entitlement, participation trophy. Let's talk about this. The participation trophies. I want to get back into sports and all that. I know that's your wheelhouse. I want to start off with this. A school that I know about, a buddy of mine who coaches at it, said that their athletic director, principal, somebody told them they're not allowed to run athletes anymore. Like if they get in trouble in class or get in trouble, they're not allowed to. Like, all right, you know, you got 100 yards of, you know, sprints. You got, you know, this or that. Like, they're not allowed to use conditioning cardio as a punishment.
So what's the alternative? What do you do instead?
Is that rhetorical, or is that?
No, I want to know. Like, what does he? Like, is it just like no, Johnny? Is that all you got now?
You're like a Canadian cop. You're like stop, or I'll say stop again.
Okay, so I'll jump on this one. Every single staff member at my high school is lucky that I had the fear of running triangles at baseball practice every single spring I was there. Because we've already talked about how I don't run. We've already talked about how little I like to work when I was that age. Yeah. And that was one of my biggest fears, was that I'm going to have to fucking stay after practice and fucking run triangles because I'm an asshole. For any of you that don't know, triangles from home plate to a foul pole to the other foul pole back to home plate. And, you know, one was far more than I ever wanted to run.
Yeah.
And the punishment usually ranged anywhere between 10 and 100, depending on how many teachers I pissed off that particular day.
Yeah.
So,
the punishment that you do when I was in high school, I can remember. I mean, fuck, you didn't even have to be the one to get in trouble. Like if there was a substitute, and like so, and I'll name some names because a buddy of mine, Jason Murray, pissed off a substitute in our class. All right. And she's outside like, I need to get a hold of a principal. Because back then we didn't have hitting the black button to call the principal down. They didn't have phones in the classrooms. So this sub is just, I need somebody. Coach Bush, in the middle of track season, my track coach walks into our class because Jason is being an asshole. All right. He walks into the classroom and he said, "Oh, Jeremy, Jason, Bill, Joe, y'all see me after practice."
Yeah, of course.
Because we were all in there. And so I went to Leander High School. We had back then, now y'all got a beautiful stadium now. Y'all got turf. They switched the home side. Our home side used to face the setting sun, so you couldn't see. You couldn't see half the game because the sun's in your face. They finally flipped and made the visitors look at that shit. We had this fucked up cheap blue track. Coach Bush made us do lunges, 400-meter lunges.
Fuck that.
And so after that, my knees were red and blue. I had blue stains from that fucking track, and then red blood running down my shins from the track. And if you've never been on a track, imagine, I don't know, like that fucking crushed granite gravel stuff. That's what it feels like after about 10 yards.
Yeah.
It hurts. And that's what our coaches made us bleed for a punishment.
Yeah.
When we're in school. And now I'm not saying 100% that's right, but that's what our coaches did.
And we usually straighten the fuck up really quick.
Yeah. We didn't. You didn't have to do it twice.
Yeah.
For something like that, the triangles and stuff like so. My son, they have to do. They call them monkeys.
Yeah.
Where they have to like side shuffle and touch the ground.
Yeah.
They have to go from first to foul pole to second to foul pole to third.
Oh shit.
And they call it like monkey M's or some shit like that. And but he goes to a 2A small country school where they still paddle kids and all this. But I couldn't imagine even one time being a coach and having somebody say, "Yeah, your running back told the teacher to fuck off in class. If we give him ISS, he can't play in the game, so we're just going to turn him over to you and let you do something." And then you're like, "Oh, give him ISS, he can't play because I'm not allowed to punish him anymore. I'm not allowed to run him for his behavior. I'm not allowed to let him earn the opportunity to remain in extracurricular activities."
I was coaching a 14-year-old one year in select ball, and his parents called me. His dad called me, and he said, "Hey," he's like, "You're connecting well with little Johnny. He's having some issues at school." And I'm like, "Well, what's going on?" He's smarting off, and he's but you're the only adult that he's getting along with. Can you talk to him? And I was like, "No, I'm not going to talk to him."
Yeah.
I'm like I didn't say that, of course. I'm thinking like, well, listen, I can help. I think I can try and help for sure, but you got to let me have him. You got to let me have him for an hour after practice.
Yeah.
And I will see what I can do. But this is kind of out of my realm here. I'm a baseball coach, all right, cool. And I fucking ran this little kid in the ground, and I fucking told him, some personal shit about me that made me and guess what? Because he was a good ball player. And I gave him the business, and then when he was done, the dad was like, he was the one that was taking him home that night, and his dad called me the next day. He's like, "Dude, I think you might have got through to him a little bit." I'm like, "All right, cool." Well, I got no more reports of bad behavior, but the mom was as cold as ice the rest of the fucking season. I was like, "What the fuck, man?" No. Anyways, a few years later, he's in our high school program, and he's in our high school program, and I was kind of shuffling around teams, just kind of going wherever the organization needed help, and they sent me to coach up in Dallas on his high school team, and I'm hanging out there, and I was talking to him, and one day he goes, "Dude, do you remember when you made me run after is it messed up?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
No more video.
No more video. It's okay. He's like, "Do you remember when you made me run after I was getting in trouble at school?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "My mom fucking hated you after that." He's like, "Because remember I fell and I skinned my knee and you made me keep running." And I'm like, yeah. He's like, "Oh, but that was good. I was scared shitless of you after that. And I knew I did not want my parents calling you." I was like, hey, it goes back to the three classifications, the slap dicks, fuck sticks, and shitbirds.
Oh yeah.
He had moved into the fuck stick category, and he just needed a little bit of coaching to get him back. But I, you know, I know that there's some kids that you just got to sit down and you got to say, hey, look, you got to level with them a different way, whatnot. But like this whole let the fucking inmates run the prison thing just blows my mind. There's so many things that it negatively reinforces, and you're like, how are these people going to function as adults? And I think we're actually starting to see, in kind of the youngest generation of adults that are on their own now, like there's some fucking deficiencies. Like, and don't get me wrong, there are some brilliant people, in that category and everything. And there's people who are doing it right, like, but like there's some very fucking disturbing trends.
The worst of the worst is getting worse, and bigger. Like that group is getting bigger. Because we're starting to see. I don't know. So Rosie, my wife, she was watching this or listening to, I don't know, this thing by Tony Robbins, and he was talking about generations. And so soft generations usually raise hard generations. Hard generations raise soft generations. So it's very cyclical. And so, like, if you want to go back to, and let's just look at like modern time. I'm a history teacher. I love nerding out to this shit. But if you look, so let's go back to World War One. Because before World War One, all generations were hard generations, right?
They didn't have a choice.
Yeah. So World War One, hard generation. It's the first war in the United States where we actually went overseas and fought. It's the first war where they were begging and forcing people into the military. And then afterwards, you have that whole progressive era. So everyone's happy. People are making money. People are buying refrigerators. Like, you don't have to go to the butcher shop every morning. Like, it was a good time, and things got soft. And I'm not saying the progressive era was a bad era. Like, women were able to vote. Women were starting to work on their own. We had prohibition, and then they realized that sober people are boring, so they let people drink again. Like there was all this like social shit that was really, really getting pushed, and things were changing. And so you have these parents who had hard times who are like, well, I don't want my kid to have to live the way I did, but that's why you're strong. That's why you are the way you are. And so then these people create economic problems. And then so we have the Great Depression.
Yeah.
And then they're raising a generation who's living a hard life. They're having to live through the Great Depression. I remember this old man that I've talked to, they ate large sandwiches. Like, if you don't know what a large sandwich is, first of all, you're probably too young to be listening to this. Go back to, I don't know, something that kids watch. But that's like Crisco, like that fucking congealed animal fat. It's white until you put it in and it turns into grease. They would take this stuff and spread it on bread. So they would have fatty calories that have a little bit of protein in it and bread. And mind you, at this time, like, you had to go bake and slice your own bread. And then after this phase, we got out of the war because of World War II. So you have the draft. You have people going over, again, fighting overseas. And then we come back, and then that kind of leads us a little bit into the Cold War, but more into this hippie era of like sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Nothing wrong with it. Great era. Shaped a lot of people. Shaped a lot of culture. And we were also lucky enough to get the civil rights movement out of this. But this was a time of not my kid. Not my kid. I want things to be better than I had it. Yeah. And again, it's cyclical. It's not always a bad thing, but people were a little bit softer at that time because I don't know, just think things were different. And then they kind of fucked up the economy again. Like in the 80s, we had a huge like a construction depression, industry went down, things like that. And so our generation, this is where you finally had it to where both parents were having to work. And it produced, we call your latchkey kids.
Yeah, Gen Xers.
Yeah, so like our generation, we had a fucking keychain on the back of our backpack that had the key to the house because we either walked home when we got kicked off of it, or we rode the bus home. And we had our own key to get in the house at 8 and 9 years old. And we fucking made macaroni and cheese for our 6-year-old little sister, brother, and we got dinner started, or we fucking played with knives and sprayed hairspray on the door and caught it on fire because we were just like little tough kids who skinned our knees and dealt with it ourselves.
My experience was a little bit different because economic status of my parents, but like, my parents did all right. My mom stayed at home for the majority of my
But did
growing
you
up.
go outside and play with dirt and sticks?
I had a creek behind my house.
Did your mom have wipes and hand sanitizer when you came back in, or did you say wash off in the fucking hose and don't bring that shit in the house?
Yeah, you better clean your ass before you come in my house.
Yeah.
Like that was like. Hey mom, we're gonna go down the creek and try and catch water moccasins. Okay, just when the streetlights come on.
And you played some baseball seasons where we didn't get a trophy, and you cried and you were upset because you didn't get a fucking trophy.
Yeah.
And your parents are like, maybe next year, maybe y'all went, hey, try it again, go out there, do better, be better. If you want a fucking trophy, play harder, work harder, and sometimes you just didn't win a trophy, or you got that little fucking marble piece with some little
with a glove,
or or the baseball batter swinging, and you broke the bat off before you got it home.
Yeah.
Now we've and it's our generation. So every time people are like, oh, these fucking kids, you're the ones that raise these fucking kids. We raise these kids, and I'm not saying I did it. I don't know. But my generation, the people who are complaining about these, like, we've raised these kids, like, we've molded and shaped this into what it is. And it's like, well, I didn't get trophies. So whenever I'm president of the youth league, I'm going to make sure we take money and everybody gets a good trophy. And if you're on the first place team, your trophy's going to be a little bit taller. Like, I mean, that's kind of what it's gone to. And participation trophies are the fucking worst.
Well, we've moved into an era of instant gratification in everything that we fucking do. Like, I can pick up this little box in my phone, and I can ask any fucking question I want.
Yeah.
And I can get an answer in just like that. And then we're on TikTok and we watch things for 30 fucking seconds.
Yeah.
And then it might catch us for 2 or 3 minutes, but then thank God we give our brain something else.
Yeah, you can swipe up and look
I
at a cat
can't
now.
watch, like, I'm a movie freak. I grew up in a movie household. We watched fucking movies. That's what we did. We had hundreds. My parents owned a video store at one point. Like they bought a video store about 2 years before Blockbuster Video came to town.
Oh, wow.
So anyways, I can't watch an entire movie without picking up my phone now. That's fucking sad.
I've watched movies with my entire phone.
Yeah.
I've asked my wife, like, hey, who is this guy again? Because, like, he's about to get, he's the guy that's been on for the entire fucking movie.
Yeah.
Like, he's been on the screen for 90% of the time, and you're just fucking seeing him an hour in. Like,
and so, anyways, so, like we've trained our brains as adults to, like, oh, I don't like this. Well, let me find something to satiate me real quick.
Yeah.
And so then I think that I don't have kids, but what I've seen in relationships with women who have kids and just friends parenting and stuff like that is like our brain goes to, oh, my kid's not happy right now, how do I make him happy? Here, give it. And like it,
here's Cocoa Melon.
It's life isn't that way. So we don't, you get out in the real world and you're fucking lost all of a sudden because you've trained your brain that I can get what I want in a few swipes. And
but I feel like there are workplaces that are going to this now in some areas. Like, I'll say my gym for one. There are the people that work in my gym, I feel like they've never used any of the equipment there. And I'm not just talking about out of shape. I'm just talking about, like, and not like fat out of shape. I'm talking about they're not athletic. They're not, they don't look like they work out. My wife, so at my gym, they totally replaced all the ellipticals, and the way the machine works now, like, you still get on it and you have to go, but then you have to hit a button to get everything to turn on, once you see a light come on. And so she's asking this guy, she's like, hey, I can't get the elliptical to work. How does it work? And he goes, oh, I think you just get on it and go. So, like, we've had, like, you work here and you don't know how this equipment goes. Like, you don't know how it works. And so, like, we pay for an upgraded membership, so we get all the tanning beds, the hydro beds, all the bells and whistles. And we're 4 a.m. people at the gym. Like, we're the crazy group. But this guy, like, he grabs his phone and he just walks around and he's playing on his phone, walking back and forth and back and forth. And so we're like, hey, let me, because, I told you I messed my shoulder up. I like getting on that hydro bed, a little hydro massage. And then I turn around and lay face it. No. then but I can't get on there because I can't get this dude's attention. He's got headphones on and he's playing games on his phone, walking around, and we've started hiring these people. And like I've sent emails before. I'm like, hey, can we get a second person? Hey, can we have a talk? And they're like, oh, he's he didn't say an introvert. But he's socially awkward. He's weird about talking with people. So he likes to wear the headphones to shut out the noise. Maybe he shouldn't be working in a gym.
Yeah.
Like, and I get it to meet some people's needs for handicaps and stuff like that. I'm all for. I'm cool. Like, there has to be something for everybody. I believe everybody has a purpose.
That doesn't give the business an excuse to not be able to provide the service that they should be.
So that's not his place. Or maybe if he's there and he's good at wiping things down and doing it, let him put on his fucking headphones, let him rock out, let him do whatever he's gonna do. But have somebody else there that likes to talk to people.
Yeah.
That's okay with the noise and things going on. So and so the stuff that we talked about in school and all how kids are just being accommodated and everything, like these kids are becoming adults and they're not being able to function in basic society.
And like, you don't want to sound insensitive. Like
oh God, no.
I think
this will be our episode 2 will be it.
Yeah.
You say the wrong thing.
But I mean, I want people who have inherent disadvantages, to be able to succeed, and I'm willing to make concessions and to help people who have been dealt a rough hand. Absolutely. Yeah. But it's still the responsibility of whoever is giving them jobs and stuff like that to maintain the business, their agreement with their customers. Like, I need somebody in here who I can talk to, who can help me with something. Like you don't put somebody in this role who can't fill the role.
Yeah.
And it doesn't just happen on that level.
Because they want to. But I want this job. Yeah.
I don't know. Like, there's so many things that play into this. People having jobs that they're not qualified for bullshit reasons.
Yeah.
It drives me nuts, but that's a whole nother show, I think.
Oh yeah. Oh God, I'm having a hard time moving on from the not being able to run kids, but I don't want to beat that horse about not being able to run anymore. I don't know if we talked in the last episode. Did we talk about A team versus B team and all that stuff too?
I think briefly.
Okay, so and just I think we may have talked more whenever we hung it up, but I've seen that before too with Dad. My son's the best running back on the team. Why is he on the B team? Well, first of all, your son doesn't know his right from his left. The only reason he ran left on that play is because I slapped his hand before the play started so he would remember which way to go. Second, your kid makes solid 70s on everything, and if I put all my eggs in that basket and put him on the A team and he fails one test and makes a 68, I don't have an A team running back anymore.
Yeah.
And 3, he's not the best running back on the team, so he's not it. And so like parents get way too involved. If one of my parents would have went and talked to one of my coaches about something like that, I would have been so fucking embarrassed.
I'm gonna tell you a story
and blacklisted.
I'm gonna tell you a story about how easy it is for a parent to really, really fuck up his kid's chances of something. So I'm working for that baseball organization. I'm not coaching that weekend, but we're hosting a big high school level tournament in town. 6 different fields. He needed coaches who weren't coaching at each field. Kind of proctoring the tournament, whatnot. So I'm out at the high school. I'm running the scoreboard. I'm in the press box. It's fucking July in Central Texas, and it's probably 115 degrees on the field, over 100 in the stands. It's hot. Okay, there's 40 people on either side of the press box. There's a lot of people in there. And one of the things that people will do if you don't have a sign up is they'll try and get into the air conditioned press box and figure out a reason to hang out in there. And you can't let the cool dad that hang out in there. You can't let anybody hang out in there because then you got to let everybody. It's a pain in the ass. So we always have a sign up that says nobody in the press box except for college coaches and tournament staff. We do let the college coaches go in there and sit so that they can watch the game in the AC. It helps. That's what that's the ultimate purpose of the tournament anyway.
Yeah, it's a VIP accommodation.
So I'm sitting in there. It's the middle of the middle of the day. We're on our game 2 or game 3, and there's a team from Houston there, and they've got this catcher who, when he's doing his infield warm ups, people's jaws are just hitting the floor, just absolutely hitting the floor, and he gets up to he's the leadoff hitter too, and he's quick. And he gets a double off the wall in his first at bat, and everybody's talking about who is it? What's that kid's name? And I know that there was two big. I won't talk about who they were, but two big Texas Division I baseball schools there, and everybody's talking about this kid. Well, I get a knock on the door. And before I can say who is it or come in or anything, the door just kind of swings open, and this guy pops in, and he's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna you gotta plug in here. I gotta charge my phone real quick." And I was like, "Yeah, you can just plug it in right over there." What I meant was you can plug your phone, but you need to fucking beat it,
Yeah.
Come back in a minute. And he plugs his phone in, closes the door behind him, and just sits in there. And he's like, yeah, I'm up here just watching my son play. He's the guy on, he's the catcher right there, the one that's on second base right now. And everybody's like, oh, there he is. It's his dad.
Dad, he can't hear you cheering from up here.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, dude, we've been talking to some people, and we're getting some interest here and there, and everybody's kind of looking around at each other and like, are you fucking kidding me right now? This guy. Like, yeah, his uncle played in the Pirates organization, and we've seen this person and that person, and just talking, just wearing us out. Most baseball coaches are pretty reserved, quiet bullshitters. There's some loudmouth guys, but like the general, if there's a room full of baseball coaches, most of the humor is understated. It's usually pretty, nobody's is ever boisterous like that, and usually if there is somebody, we don't like them.
Yeah.
So finally, I'm like, this guy's got to shut the fuck up. He's driving all of us nuts. Like, hey man, you got enough charge on your phone? And he's like, oh yeah. And he grabs his cord, grabs his phone, walks out. And like the guy the door shuts behind him. Like it's just quiet for like 5 seconds, and like everybody starts looking around like, God damn, that guy wore all of us out. What's that kid's name again? And they looked at his numbers, looked at the rosters, and I watched fucking 4 coaches just crossing it off. And I'm like, the helicopter dads, the dads that want to get in the coaches' ears, the dads that are trying to sell their kids, like those are the ones. Like coaches do not want to deal with that shit. When we're talking to people, like when somebody says, "Hey, I'm trying to bring this family over to get their boys in your program," like, what are the parents like?
Yeah.
Or when we were as a high school coach or when I was coaching high school baseball, like I didn't talk to many college coaches, but that was always a question that I would hear, my colleagues getting asked, like, what are the parents like? What are the parents like? And if I sat and told, or any of my buddies sat and told a college coach, like, they're kind of hard to deal with, like that holds a lot of weight. That holds a ton of weight. Yeah. You know what they want to hear? They're at every game, they cheer loud, and
they bring snacks.
Mom brings cookies sometimes. like that's what they want to hear. Like, oh, does the dad ever call you? Never. Sweet. Perfect. When your kids are still in daddy ball age, dad's coaching the tournament, stuff like that, or coaching the team, whatever. Yeah, like you got to be around, be in their ear the whole game, whatever. Let mommy talk to them through the fence in the dugout. But get to middle school, high school, cut them loose. Put them in the hands of the coaches, and hope that maybe one time you get a bad coach. That's a valuable experience. Like when you get everybody knows there's bad coaches out there, but when you get a bad coach, you got to deal with it for one season. Make them learn to honor a commitment that's going to be a little bit hard to honor. That's a lesson. Like when we would be at tryouts and we would hear a kid last year we were at this group and the year before that we were at this program. we start crossing off names. Like make them deal with that asshole. Let them stick around. One thing that my organization rarely did was let a coach kind of bump up in age groups with with teams, because they wanted the kids to experience different leadership and different styles.
Learn something new from different coaches.
Yeah, and the whole parents can absolutely ruin a kid's chances at stuff.
That's the worst thing about youth sports is the adults. So, and a coach can learn from different kids too, like different methods, different things.
Yeah, and like, you were talking about it earlier offline. You were like, yeah, I can reach most kids. I can figure out the way to reach most kids, and kids are also going to figure out what styles of leaders that they learn best from, and seek those sorts of things out, throughout their life. Like I've definitely gone into job interviews and being like, I'm not super excited about the role or the salary or whatever it is, but like, I want to work for a dude like that. That guy seems dynamic.
Yeah.
And, like, I want to learn that style.
I'll tell you. So my, I don't know if I want to talk about where I work yet. I work for an ISD in Central Texas. Whenever I was going and applying at schools, so I had 2 high schools on my list, then I had 1 middle school. I wanted to be a high school teacher. Don't want a damn thing to do with middle school kids. 7th grade boys are the weirdest animals on the entire fucking planet.
Yes.
All right. And the girls they think they're grown up already because they're starting to mature, right? And so that's the grade where you get girls who are trying to be adults. And it's awkward. And so my first interview was at the school that I work at now. And I told my principal this. This was my practice interview. Yeah. I'm not going to take this job. I love interviews. And the worst thing you could do is schedule one. All right. If you want to go work at, I don't know, Austin High School, and they set up an interview with you, the best thing you could do is set up one for before that.
Yeah.
Get your feet wet, get started. And so that's what I was doing. I went and took a Hutto. Oh, there it is. Hutto Middle School called me for an interview. They were scheduled first. Cool. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get my feet wet. I'm going to go to my 2 high school interviews, and I'm going to pick which one of those sounds the best.
Yeah.
I sit down with the principal and the 2 APs, and it is the best experience I've ever had in any interview. I love interviewing. Like I said, prison, I love those, like, what do you call them, board style interviews where you got 3 people staring at you, firing off questions. Yeah. I like that. I'm good under pressure. Jason, the principal, immediately offers me the job there at the table.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, my eyes are big. I'm looking around. I love this place. And mind you, like, kids are already on campus because they're just coming back from the pandemic. And so they need to hire more teachers because more and more kids are starting to come back. And so I get to see the culture of the school, the kids, and like, it was really, really cool. And so I was like, I'd like to. And so this is on a Friday. I have an interview Friday afternoon, and I have an interview Monday morning. So I'm like, can I go home and talk to my wife about this? It's a big decision. So, I like to talk with her about the way things look. And he's like, oh, just do me a favor. Can you get with me Monday afternoon? And just let me know. He said, I actually have another interview scheduled for Wednesday, but I really like you, and I would like for you to come and work with us. And so if you let me know before Wednesday, I can cancel that other interview and we can just get the ball going. I went out in the parking lot and I sat in the car and I was like, this is fucking stupid. I'm not going to be a middle school coach. This is dumb. This is so fucking stupid. For an entire hour, I sat in the car in the parking lot, never left. And I called my wife. I was like, hey, they offered me the job. She's like, so that's cool. So if the other ones don't work out, and I was like, no, I think I'm going to take it. And she's like, you're shitting me. And I was like, no, I'm going to take this job. And so I did one stupid thing. I called the 2 high schools.
Just one, huh?
Okay, well, 2, I guess 2. I called those 2 high schools and I canceled my interviews. I should have, and then I went ahead and I called Jason, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to take the job.
Yeah.
And he was like, cool, we'll get it all set, which hindsight, I probably should have accepted the job and then canceled my interviews just in case. He was like, you know what, we're going to rescind. But yeah, so I took the job, and it's because like I didn't want to be a middle school teacher. Just the whole process, the interview was great, the people were great, and sometimes like supervisors feel good. Like
if you feel that, between coaches and teachers and supervisors and being in the military and having to work underneath so many different people and different styles of leadership, like I know who I work well for and I know who I don't. And I've also learned how to work for different types of people. There's some people where it's like zero bullshit, we're not going to be buddies, but if you fucking get in and get your work done, then I'm as cool as a cucumber, And then there's people who want to fucking play the games and they want you to fucking come in and drink coffee with them for 30 fucking minutes before you get your work started. And you have to know how to deal with all these different types of people. So bouncing your kid around to find the perfect fit is not always a very fruitful exercise,
Yeah. Well, and on the flip side too, like, and I mean, I learned that I played for some asshole coaches, played for some great coaches. Mm-hmm. When I worked in the prison system and working in education, assistant principals move around like crazy because you got to move on if you want to move up.
Yeah.
And so then a new one comes in and you're going to get rotated, especially in a big district. I've worked for, just in the last 3 years, I think 5, maybe 6 assistant principals. Mm-hmm. And I've been lucky. They've all been great. But that dice, it's going to come up snake eyes one of these years. Yeah. And I'm going to work for an asshole.
Yeah.
And I'm prepared to deal with it because I've played for asshole coaches.
Yeah.
I've worked for assholes in the past, but that's that life experience that kids have to learn, that you don't get to pick who you work for or play for all the time.
And you know what? Even the asshole coach, even the asshole boss is exactly what some people need.
Yeah.
Like,
you don't know how good you have it until you realize how bad it can be.
The chief that I had for the longest time in the Navy, Joe Smith, man, Snoop, like me and this man literally boxed each other multiple times in our shop on the ship. Like, I hated that motherfucker and he hated me, but we did have respect for each other.
Yeah.
And I learned how to work for somebody like that. Like I know this dude's gonna fucking piss me off today. I know for a fact he is. Like, am I gonna be able to fucking control myself, or am I gonna act like a spoiled little asshole? And we're still Facebook friends. We still bullshit with each other online. Like, I got pissed at him because he lives in fucking Florida. He rode his motorcycle all the way out here with some of his boys and did like the whole hill country loop on bikes that I used to always fucking do. I'm like, you motherfucker, you were this close and you didn't call me. Like if I saw him, it would be nothing but love, and we have literally fucking come to blows multiple times.
Yeah.
And thank you to Senior Chief Joe Smith. That's actually his real name, Joe Smith. I know how to deal with people like that. And it's not to say that it was a bad leadership style. Our division always got shit done.
They're clashing sometimes.
Yeah, so you look, I am prepared for that if I come across it in the future. And I think that it's important to make sure that your kids are prepared for that sort of thing. And also ready to learn the lessons from that style of leadership that are to be learned,
Yeah. So, and I will call out, and I'm not going to call this guy's name because he would probably sue me. But my last experience as a high school, middle school coach, it was a small school. I worked for the absolute worst coach that I've ever worked for, that made me just completely leave coaching altogether.
Yeah.
And more of it is I realized I really like going home at 4 p.m. and I like not having to roll in until 7:30. But
hold on, before we wrap it up, I'm gonna tell one last story, and it'll kind of sum things up and on topic and whatnot. So before I went to the military, I coached baseball. I coached JV baseball. The JV season's over a little bit before the varsity is, and like the way pay worked out, if I hung around with the varsity team for a couple more weeks, I could get paid for the rest of the month or whatnot. So I asked the varsity coach. If, hey, can I hang out for a few more weeks, help with the, yeah, of course, we might be going to playoffs, whatever. I'm like, cool. So I start rolling around with them, and me and this guy didn't get along. I knew his wife in high school. I think she might have had a crush on me. I don't know. Like, I know he wasn't thrilled about the fact that, like, oh yeah, you know my wife. Like, and this dude was an absolute like charisma bypass operation. Had no personality whatsoever. Like, he was just a. He got the job because I think his dad had, or no, somebody else. Oh, the varsity coach the year before lost his elderly father in the middle of the season, and he took over as interim, and then they just hired him. And the dude had no business fucking being a high school baseball coach. So, anyways, they do make the playoffs, and I'm riding with the team on the bus, and there was only 3 coaches. It was him, the assistant, and I was the last assistant. Well, the other assistant had family in Houston he was going to see after the game, and it was going to be just me and this coach riding the bus home. I don't have a CDL. I've never driven a fucking yellow dog.
I'm about to give mine up.
So he had a CDL. He was driving the yellow dog. We had like 8 kids on the bus on the way home, and we're not even outside of Houston. And we pull over to eat, or let the kids eat. They go in a fast food place. He's like, I'm sick, man. I'm super sick. Like, I don't feel good. And he's vomiting. Like, I'm like, oh, shit, dude. This guy's going to drive us home. Whatnot. He's like, I can't drive, man. I can't drive. And I'm like, well, we're fucked then. Like, that's all there is to it. And he's like, oh, have you ever driven a bus before? It's like, I've driven everything but a bus. I've driven tractors. I've driven everything. Like, but you think you can handle it? I'm like, dude, I don't have a license. Like, I legally cannot drive this bus. And my dumb ass lets them talk me into driving the bus. I'm like, oh, shit. I do a couple spins around the parking lot. I'm like, yeah, okay, I know the turn clearance and everything. Yeah. I get on the road from Houston back to Austin, and we're coming up in Brenham, and I'm actually kind of enjoying. I'm singing songs. I can hear the guys behind me bullshitting, and I'm listening to their bullshit, and it's funny. Like, there's something to be said about how humorous 8 teenage boys in the back after they won a ball game are, and all of a sudden the bus just starts fucking sputtering, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I'm shaking the wheel. I'm like, oh, what? And the coach, he's like, what's going on? And I'm like, I don't know. And he's like, do you think we're out of fuel? And the gas gauge is just back forward. He's like, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you that we needed to stop for gas, and the gas gauge is broken. And I'm like, motherfucker. I run a diesel out of gas, as everybody knows, is a very bad deal.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, I was just doing what my boss in this situation told me to do. I don't give a fuck, So we call the AD, and he's like, hey, hang up real quick. I hang up. And he's like, he turns around to all the kids on the bus, and he's like, hey, guys, listen, we're out of gas, and we need you to tell everybody that I was driving the bus, not Coach Smith. And I'm like, you sure you want to do that, bro? Like, I will eat this one. I don't care. Like, he's like, no, dude, if they find out that I let you drive the bus, no. And I'm like, oh, this is fucking perfect. This is perfect. And sure enough, all the kids hated this coach, and the athletic director and another coach show up in the vans that the school had 2 hours later, and all the kids are like they ask him first who was driving or what happened, and it was like, oh, I was driving. All the kids are like, yeah, Coach Smith was driving. AD comes up to me, he's like, who was driving? I was like, I was driving. I was like, why were you driving? Like, Coach told me to. He was sick. He didn't feel good. So he lied, and everybody told the truth. He gets fired. It was pretty epic because him and I had been going back and forth all fucking season, and that was a long story. I'm sorry.
It's karma. You fucking ran a bus out of gas.
Dude, the gas or the
highway,
the fuel gauge was broken.
Kids.
Absolutely, I did. Without a CDL.
That's badass. So I'll go back to this asshole that I coach for. He's one of these guys, if you didn't agree with what he's doing, it's because you want his program to fail.
Yeah.
He's not on board. And if
you got to buy in. You got to be all in.
If he has a problem with you, he wants all the other coaches to have a problem with you.
Yeah.
So, it's just, hey, Coach so-and-so, I heard about what he said to you. So coaching football is one of the most emotional things I've ever done. even as a coach. I'm not playing, but it's emotional. We yell at each other as coaches over the headset, and hey, you need to get these guys in line. You need this. We need to fix this up because whatever. And then you get in the locker room at halftime. Coaches go argue a little bit in the office, and all right, I'll make sure, but you weren't looking. He's doing what he's supposed to do. We need for the running. Your running back needs to pick this up, and you figure things out as men. That's one of the things. You yell at me, I yell at you. Then we go into the locker room, and we're all on the same page when we talk to the kids. This guy's one of those ones who'll go in the locker room. And Coach Rhodes seems to think blah blah blah, and less than that. So one of these guys, and I had just had enough. And he's one of those ones too. And if Coach so and so doesn't get in line, he'll be reassigned and blah. You don't fucking talk about another coach's job in front of the kids, stuff like that. Yeah. And so like you do have those who it's not even a coaching style. This is just a bad person.
Yeah. And they're out there.
I'm the freaking AD. I'm the freaking AD. But.
It's unfortunate because like there is no room for ego in youth sports, no matter what level.
Yeah,
like you cannot go into it with any other mindset other than I am here to help shape young adults into a human being that's going to contribute to society.
Yeah,
like that has to be the attitude.
You're a developer first, coach second.
Yeah, and like. The most dynamic teachers and coaches that I've ever had the smallest egos ever. They did not care, and there were a lot of, especially the coaches. A lot of them were some of the most successful coaches.
Yeah.
Now I do know some pricks that have won some state championships. I've coached with them, but one in particular, and you'll hear a lot of stories about him, and you'll never hear his name because. But my close friends will know who I'm talking about.
We're not making enough money to get sued.
Yeah, well. It's going to be a while because I don't know if you realize this yet, but we haven't made any money. But anyways, like you've got to know that those guys are out there, and you've also got to know that there's the less ego you bring to the table, the more that you're going people are going to want to follow. Like the kids can sniff that shit out.
Yeah,
the kids don't want to perform for an egomaniac. They like. Especially young men full of testosterone, they're like, "Oh, I'll buck back. How about that?" Like,
they can sense your bullshit.
Yeah, and do you know what else they can smell out? Is somebody who's not putting it in. They know the people who are half-assing it at work.
Yeah,
and kids are smarter than we give them credit for. Why is my front fucking door opening? It's the wind. Sorry, we're having technical difficulties.
About ready. We're all safe now.
You want to?
Yeah. So I want to wrap this up. Something I didn't do in our first episode because I'm a dumbass. Follow us on social media. Right now we have a TikTok page. It's Foul Mouthed Teachers, and mouthed with an ED because that's proper English. So it's Foul Mouthed Teachers PC. It's all one word because, I don't know, that's how TikTok works. And I've got the Twitter, Instagram, Facebook thing coming up. I'll go ahead and link it in all of our descriptions once everything's up and going. Hell, by the time I edit all this shit, it should be on there. But yeah, follow us on all social media. Subscribe, whether you're listening to Spotify, Apple, Google, Jingle, Jangle, Dingle, whatever the hell. There's a lot of them out there, and we're going to try to get on them. But yeah, we appreciate it. We appreciate those of you who are beginning this ride with us, and we really, really appreciate those of you who are going to hang out and hang along for the ride.
Yeah, and we don't know where this is going. We have no idea where this is going, so stay tuned. See,
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah. All right, on that note, thank you very much. I'm out.
All right, later, fuckers.